Lunar Classic has been going from strength to strength. The price action has been absolutely insane, and lots of gains have been printed. We have seen the ticker LUNC trending across social media platforms like Twitter as well. In this particular video, we're going to be jumping down into the world of Lunar Classic, taking a look at the price action and what we think might actually be on the horizon next here for LUNC. As we get into this video, you know what to do. Hit the like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and you will not miss another live stream or video that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. If you haven't yet joined us in the Discord server, links in the description down below. All right, guys, let's get into this. Here we have LUNC, Lunar Classic, paired up with Binance USD, so it's BUSD. We're on the hourly chart here. Binance is our data source, obviously. Now, for the most part, we've seen a lot of price action. We've got some fundamental stuff going on, new pairs and all that kind of stuff. We see Bybit now actually doing contracts on, LUNC, Lunar Classic as well. So lots of really cool fundamental things that are going to help spur on the price action here of this particular asset. Now, of course, there are some concerns with all of that as well. We should be very skeptical over some of these things that are occurring and what that might mean in terms of volatility. With all that being said, though, the price action has been absolutely fantastic recently, and we can see a lot of rinse and repeat kind of scenarios. Let me just show you a few here on the charts. So essentially what we've got is we've got this area just here where we're setting these lower highs, and of course we're setting ourselves up with the lower lows. As often we say, these are the kind of scenarios where we actually break to the upside. Okay, we can see a few more on this side just over here as well. Let me just go snap a couple of those in. Okay, so we can see here, and we can also see just over here as well. Okay, we're bringing that right down into this descending triangular wedge, and of course we break to the upside on these. Okay, and right now, if I just move that out of the way for a second, we can see something interesting occurring. Now, we're not getting the very similar kind of scenario, but we do find ourselves in another triangular wedge. Okay, if I just pull this back into here for a second, you can actually see that we're coiling up quite nicely here on Lunar Classic. Okay, we've gotten ourselves into a triangular wedge, basically higher lows and lower highs, and we can see that right within there. So we know that this is a potential area of extreme volatility as we coil up. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to throw the Bollinger Bands on here, and we're going to review whether or not we're getting a contraction, and a contraction usually means a volatile movement. So right in here, for example, we can see the contraction of the bands, and then we have this explosive move to the upside. Over this side, we didn't really see a contraction, but we did see the break to the upside from our wedge. And over where we are right now, we are seeing a small contraction. And again, this is going to indicate that we're likely to see some kind of volatile movement to the upside or downside. The Bollinger Bands don't tell us a direction, but they do tell us that something big is about to happen here for LUNC. Okay, so let's go ahead and actually just break this down into, again, some of the things that we were talking about previously. Okay, if I zoom back out of this, we can see this fantastic run to the upside that we've been having. Our clear target was 0.00071958. That's the dashed line just at the top here. This is basically indicating to us a 5-wave structure where that would actually be our third wave. And for example, this is wave 1, this would be our wave 2, and all of this would be wave 3 before we retrace and then have another fantastic 5th wave up. Okay, failing to hit this area, all this is at a big macro level is just A, B, and C, for example. Okay, so knowing that we're trying to work our way up there ever so slightly further towards our targeted range of 0.0007, then obviously that means that we are making progress, right? So let's go ahead and just take a look at this recent price action in a little bit more detail, right? So if we zoom in on this particular triangular wedge just in here, we can see that we're bouncing around a little bit, okay? Trying to think of this as a continuation pattern, right? So the trend that went into it was an upward move. We then trade sideways into this kind of wedge that just goes through here, the middle here. And then we continue the trend that led into it, which was to the upside. So the expectation here would be that we would break to the upside for Lunar Classic, okay? However, that doesn't always play out. And we should be fully aware, at least, of the momentum behind the price action, okay? Now, when we take a look at our hourly chart, I think this pretty much does tell us the exact same story, that we are going to be looking at continuing the upward trend to the upside. This is because we're down in this oversold area. When you're in the oversold area on your stochastic RSI, basically you're looking for a price appreciation, or at least momentum to shift from downward price pressure to upward price pressure. The stochastic RSI doesn't give us the amount of movement that you're going to expect to see, but it's going to tell us that we're expecting some kind of movement to the upside. Now, the slower the stochastic RSI moves, the better it is going to be for price action. The faster it moves, it means there's less momentum than you might actually want to see within the price action. So keeping a close eye on your stochastic RSI is going to be absolutely key here. Now, as I bring the volumes into play, we can see some pretty interesting things. First of all, the volume to the upside here was actually quite reasonable. We actually pulled the volume down as we corrected and then pushed the volume up as we went up. We pulled the volume back down as we're correcting through this sideways trade, and therefore we can start to think about what might be on the horizon next. Now, the obvious concern here is this big move to the downside and the fact that we have kind of hit this upper area of resistance at approximately 0.0005. Okay, so this is going to be an interesting zone for us to kind of keep a close eye on. And that's actually a little bit higher than that. Let me just go ahead and just throw this on to this closed position right here, 0.00054514. Okay, so that's going to be the area of focus, just in terms of where we think the resistance lines are going to potentially be blocking us from going through. Okay, so for the hourly chart, everything's looking pretty good for a bit of a break to the upside. The contraction on the Bollinger Band, oversold stochastic RSI, continuation based pattern, looking pretty good. Let's jump up into the 4-hourly chart. Again, very good to see our stochastic RSI actually close to this oversold area. Now, we could basically bounce from this area as we had done previously down here, okay, and then basically move to the upside, or we can come down into the oversold area and just continue to trade sideways within this range a little bit longer. Okay, as I said before, this is a slightly different pattern than what we had seen the last 2 times, in the way that we are not setting these lower lows. So it's possible that we do go down and we just set a new lower low, confirming that this is actually more of a bull flag kind of situation, and then we can repeat our way back up. Alternatively, we just coil ourselves up, get down into the oversold area, and then explode upwards from there. So the 4-hourly, 1-hourly are basically telling us that we're potentially going to be talking about this impulsive trigger point at 0.0007 really, really soon, which will be fantastic. So let's check the 8-hour. The 8-hour chart does look actually mid-range. Can go up, can go down, doesn't really tell us too much, other than the fact the momentum kind of stalled out right in the middle here. So we started to move from the oversold area as we had previously, and we're looking for that move to the upside. Now, the interesting thing here is you do have a little bit of a divergence. Let me just show you this. Let me grab hold of this for a second on our stochastic RSI. We are basically looking at the stochastic RSI increasing, okay, as the price increases. But basically what I'm saying here is that we have that momentum to the upside, because this is a low price point just here. Okay, this is our high price point when we're up in the overbought area, and then this is our now oversold area. Basically, this is basically telling us that we are trending to the upside, although not actually in an official trend yet. And we are basically allowing our stochastic RSI to correct down and rally up without doing too much price damage. Okay, so we kind of see this divergence going on a little bit here. And more so from the other end, where we can see it from this perspective as well, as we coil the stochastic RSI down. Now, what's interesting about this perspective is that we are up here in this higher point, okay? The next time that we're up in the high point is up here. And it's a divergence because the price is going up where our stochastic RSI is going down. This gives us more credence to basically say that we are likely to head to the upside, okay? So good kind of motion to the upside, I think, is going to be on the horizon here. And I think we're getting confirmation of these across many different time frames. So I am looking for that 0.00071958 to come on in, as that's going to be the area where we potentially now actually start to trend up much, much higher and talk about 1 cent. So when we start thinking about the daily chart, this is of course overbought. So I imagine that this 0.00071958 is going to be our rejection level. And that's going to basically, if I zoom out of this, get rid of the stochastics RSIs for a second here, this is going to basically be our wave 3 high point. So we go 1, we go 2, we go 3 up here, we'll call back for 4, then we have 5, okay? And then we're up into, let's say a 1 cent, but actually losing a decimal place, moving up to 0.001, okay? And this is all good because this basically could be a big part of a bigger structure, which of course, if I map this back out, this is 1, we come down for 2, we move up into 3, 4 and 5 and so forth, and we really are moving to the races at that point there. Okay, can we see Lunar Classic go to $1? Who knows, right? I think that's pure speculation. Can we see it go to a cent? I think we could potentially start talking about that as this thing kind of develops, but for now it's a bit too soon. But I do think we've got some pretty good gains to be made here with Lunar Classic, so definitely one that we want to be paying close attention to. Guys, I'm going to leave this video right there. If you found it useful, you know what to do. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Remember to join us down in Discord. Guys, until the next one, have a fantastic day.